Good morning. I wanted to take a few moments to share just a few quick thoughts. I'm starting to vlog a little bit, so I wanted to just kind of encourage you. It's been a rough couple weeks in 2021, and some of you might be asking, what is God doing? Where is God at? Just this year, we started a reading plan through Browncroft, the church I serve, and we're back in the book of Nehemiah. And one of my favorite things about Nehemiah is just how super practical it is. And even right now in 2021, I'm finding that this book it translates so well to what we're going through. And in Nehemiah chapter 1, the first part of the story is Nehemiah hears that Jerusalem, his hometown, the wall is broken and it's in shambles. And so what I want to do is, what does Nehemiah teach us about crisis, about chaos, about when things aren't working in life, when it just seems like the world around us is falling apart? And I just want to give you three quick thoughts today, because wherever you are, whether you're carrying a heavy heart for America as a country, whether you've experienced job transition, whether just you're grieving the fact that life isn't normal. 2020 and 2021 has been really difficult, but I want to just give you three timeless lessons that we can learn from Nehemiah with this. Number one is this: it's acknowledge reality. So Nehemiah 1 starts off with that Nehemiah wept. And I wonder how often we're angry and we're frustrated and we're withdrawing. And when we talk about those emotions, those are actually secondary emotions, especially anger. Are we angry because we're scared of something? Are we getting into needless debate because there's this fear that life's going to change? Are we, sad? Are we upset? If you don't acknowledge reality, you'll run with your emotions. And instead of really listening and kind of saying, where am I at? What is this doing to me? So acknowledge reality. Nehemiah stops and he weeps. What do you need to do today? When you think of all the bad news out there, whether it's personally or nationally, what do you need to do? Do you need to sit and process it? Do you need to acknowledge reality? Things aren't the way that they should be. Things are difficult. I'm wondering where God is right now. I'm upset. I'm angry. There's a value in acknowledging the reality of our situation. That's what Nehemiah does. The next thing that Nehemiah does in Nehemiah 1 is he goes and he prays. Now, you probably have heard us all talk about praying, and it just kind of sometimes seems like it's a cliche and it's a cop-out. But what I love about Nehemiah, and I'd encourage you to read the prayer in Nehemiah 1, the prayer that he prays. He prays for guidance, and he prays that God would raise up support. So when you pray, I think it's super important to be very, very specific in this way. God, guide me. I don't know what to do. God, open doors. And I think the second part of that prayer too is that he's asking for God to work. Now, we can get into a spiritual debate on, about prayer and how it works and things like that. But here's what I know about prayer. Here's what I know about God, is that when you start praying, you begin to see God working more. And usually that's in you. So think about this. Let's say you're really angry and you're really upset. And you acknowledge that and you go, God, I'm angry, I'm scared, I'm anxious, and I'm upset. And then you begin to say, God, guide me and lead me. There's times that when you pray that you just won't go to that conversation that's going to get you riled up. There's times when you're not going to read the news and you're just going to take a break. There's other times that you're going to lean into maybe a perspective or an article or some resource that you might not have. And it's because you've been praying and you're more aware of God. I think about it this way. I have a red Mazda. I never noticed Mazda 3s driving around until I got that car. And so I think about that when you buy a new car, when you get something like that, you notice those things. That's what prayer does. It heightens our awareness. And then the third thing is this: take the best next step. I don't think there's always this predetermined step for God that calls us to take. Sometimes it's literally step by step. So I would encourage you, is it pick up that book? Is it text that person? Is it when you see someone on social media that's really struggling, just to reach out to them and encourage them? Whatever it is, take that next step. So I just want to remind you today, read Nehemiah 1 and go there. And there's three things that Nehemiah really teaches us. Number one, acknowledge reality. Don't be afraid to acknowledge what's really happening. Secondly, is pray for guidance and for God to work, because in doing so, you'll become more aware. And then lastly is take the next best step. Is it pick up that resource? Is it talk to that person? Whatever it is, take that next step. Praying for you folks today. Thanks for joining me.